Hello viewers, welcome to my YouTube channel Curiosity Box. This is an unplanned impromptu video thanks to @Gistobe on Twitter, Gistobe, also known as Community Cafe, and they're a big community fan. So hi Gistobe, thank you for putting me onto this Stitches thing. I just found the preview episode, the first episode of it, and I have a complete and massive rant. So basically it's another American show where instead of making a show where a character has autism, they've had to hide it under a sci-fi name of temporal dysplasia, where the protagonist is this girl, and I wonder if in the stage directions they asked her to be as robotic and sort of cold as possible, which is so it's just so enraging. It's this girl, right? And then there's these sci-fi things, and they're doing a sci-fi experiment, and the sci-fi experiment they're doing is getting some sort of person with some sort of super brain to walk into somebody else's brain and find their memories. It wasn't really explained at all in the opening episode. They just went straight into the science shit, the made up imaginary science shit, didn't explain any of it. So I wasn't quite sure what was going on, because there were bombs and they were defusing bombs, and I didn't know who these people were and why I should care about these people's memories and these bombs and this Julie person. I didn't know who any of those people were, so I didn't really get what the sciencey bit was about. But basically the protagonist is a female. Now Gistobe said that it was like, oh, if you like Abed and Community then you like this girl. No, Abed and Community is brilliant. He's a great character, well written. This girl in this show is awful. It's so badly written. So please don't, if you like Community, then you probably won't like Stitches. And please don't assume that Abed is like the girl in Stitches. Don't group them together, because it is so not. So the first thing is, the girl has been accused of hacking into a computer. That's the first cliche. She's a computer genius, apparently. And there's this other girl, and they share a flat, and she's been hacking into the computer. But the other girls, obviously, the protagonist has done it because she doesn't wash dishes, which is so pathetic. And then the protagonist's father commits suicide, but she doesn't show any emotion because her father's dead, because apparently this temporal dysplasia means she's already experienced it in a deja vu kind of fuzzy way, so she doesn't feel the emotion. So science shit. So, and then there's this science woman person who's doing this memory experiment, and she tries to get the protagonist, the main character, to come and do the experiment. And the way she does it is, everybody hates you. It's paraphrasing. It's, everybody hates you. The only person who could stand to be around you committed suicide. Oh, nobody likes you. You're going to come work with us, aren't you? It's like, why would anybody want to work with somebody who's just slagged them off? Why do they do that with like sci-fi autistic characters? Where it's like, what? You want her to work with you, and you're going to say how nobody likes her, her father's dead, and that means she'll want to work with you? I don't get it. And so the main protagonist is I think it must be in the stage directions that she speaks robotically, she speaks gobbledygook, completely cliche. She's a computer genius, completely cliche. So she, for some reason, agrees to go to the science place, and there's a typical boy nerd. So he's got the typical lumberjack shirt on, the typical geek shirt on. Now, why a girl couldn't have been that? That would have been cooler. But and he's not quite sure about the protagonist, so he says, I don't know. I don't know who you are. You don't seem smart to me. And she said, well, I am smart. And then he says, oh, name all the actors who've been Doctor Who since 1963, and then you're smart. Name all the actors who've been Doctor Who? And that's his question, to see how smart she is? That is the easiest question ever in the whole world. I thought that was going to come up at the end when she just reels off the actors' names to him. It's like, what? That's meant to be a difficult question. That's such a cliche. And he's such a cliche nerd boy. And then and then she has to go and do this thing where she goes into this brain, and they put her into a skin-tight catsuit. What, this other nerd boy? Oh, it was this other nerd boy's idea, which completely disservice to nerd boys, because not all nerd boys are sexy sticks like that. So the female protagonist, who is the autistic person, but not really because it's a load of shite, is put in the skin-tight bodysuit. So a female autistic has to be uber sexy and feminine, and she can't be the one wearing the, well, this is a Star Wars shit, but she can't be the one wearing their geek shirts and the shirts. She has to be the sexy one. That is so dumb. And so now this next bit actually is accurate. They put her into this tank. I don't know what the science of any of this is, because they didn't explain any of it. They just went straight into the science shit. So they put her in the tank, and somehow she goes into the memories of a dead person. I don't know how they get into the memories of a dead person, but anyway, she does. And she's wandering through, and then she has to go and explore and look for stuff, and then she goes to explore, but there's doors, and she says, there's a door, how do I get through it? And the boy nerd says, use your consciousness, you can open the doors. Now that is accurate. Now to me that is accurate. Obviously every autistic person's different, but to me that is very accurate, because I'm always in my lucid dreams consciously moving things about and bossing people about and moving stuff and directing stories. So I related to that, pushing the doors open with your consciousness. So I did relate to that. And then there's a bit later on in the show where she uses her visual memory to locate something and remember something. So I also relate to that, because I have a very visual thinking system, very visual memory. So those tiny bits were the tiny good bits in the show. But what really pissed me off is they've done this experiment on her, and they've rescued these other people with defusing bombs and stuff. I didn't really understand what any of that was about. But then she says at the end of the programme, oh yeah, there's another cliche bit where the nerd boy and protagonist, they go to defuse a bomb, and then they're in the office at the science place getting told off, we're going to lose our funding because of you two. It's like, oh my god, that's such a cliche. Like, why do they keep repeating that in loads of American shows? It's such a cliche. But the bit that really pissed me off, that really made me think that this programme, did I mention the name of the programme? It's called Stitches. That this programme is awful, and there's only been a preview pilot, and it's not even been on the American TV yet. She says, oh, when I was growing up, I didn't understand emotions. I didn't know emotions. I didn't understand. But now we've done the experiment. I understand what grief is. I understand sadness. I understand all the emotions. Like that's the most offensive thing ever. Because this protagonist is clearly meant to, the audience clearly meant to think the protagonist is autistic. And the fact that she has to be given the ability to understand emotions by the other characters. Fuck's sake, that is fucking shit. It is completely inaccurate. It's like, I've never not understood emotions. I might have expressed it differently or not necessarily been able to label it on somebody else, but I've always felt emotions. Autistic people, they always feel emotions. It's like, that so pissed me off because, like, so angry. We don't need to be given the ability to understand emotions. We already do. We're so passionate, and all our emotions can be boiling point. So I thought that was so patronising because this protagonist, she has this temporal dysplasia, which is sort of meant to be like, I wasn't sure because that wasn't explained either. It was sort of meant to be like sort of deja vu, but she doesn't understand time. Now, I don't understand time necessarily. I don't process how long a period of time is. And sometimes when I'm reading a book, it's like, oh wait, it's that time. Or if somebody says, like, oh, going out now, and then I fall back asleep, and then like half a minute later they're back again. Like, I get that, but it's so fucking stupid, this show. I'm sorry, it's so offensive. It's just such a cliche. And apart from the major cliche and offensiveness of how they've written the protagonist, is that it just, all the dialogue sounds so much like all the other shows you've seen before. It's like, I've heard most of this dialogue before. It's like, it's ironic because the character's meant to experience deja vu, and I was experiencing deja vu myself because I've heard all these cliched lines before. So, hello to the people on Twitter discussing Stitches. This is my impromptu review of it. I think is absolutely fucking shit. So far, Abbott and Community and Doctor Who is the best representation of autism that I've seen on TV so far. And Stitches is absolutely, utterly bollocks. So I hope you have enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching. Yay!